It's the Turbo and 2K show.
What's up, 2K crew? It is that time of the week again. 2Ks. This is kind of not a really cool time of year to be talking sports.
Yeah. Well, normally we have baseball.
Yes.
And there's nothing but bad news there.
Yeah.
You know, we got it's like we have to kind of survive this couple weeks before college basketball really hits off. I mean, I know this is the best part of the season, but really, technically, the best part of the season is when the tournament starts.
Yeah, but now, if I'm not mistaken, is it a week from today is Selection Sunday, or is it 2 weeks?
I believe it's a week from today.
I think so too. But for those of you that are checking us out live on YouTube, thank you, and welcome. If you are not yet subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, like the stream, and go ahead and comment. We'll throw you up on the screen and get a conversation started. And if you guys are listening and downloading it on the podcast side, welcome as well. Go ahead and give us a follow and drop us a comment. And if you guys are feeling extremely saucy, go to buyturboabeer.com and you can buy 2Ks and I a beer, and you'll be financially helping the show. And you also get reminders when we're going live, which is a new thing. And you will get my weekly blog, which this week 2Ks, it's I kind of went out of my comfort zone here, and instead of the camera being on video, I actually switched it, and it actually does take pictures. So I went and took pictures at the last two Marcellus boys home games. So I will be writing an article, a kind of a season recap, if you will. So if you are interested in that and you want to get it a little bit early, go to buyturbobeer.com and become a subscriber over there. Well, 2Ks. You kind of tickled the balls with it there a little bit. College hoops is about the only thing we have really. Well, it's not the only thing we got going on. I mean, there's NHL going on, there's NBA going on, but we really don't dabble too deep into those associations. But I think this past week I've watched. I'd say past 2 weeks I've watched more college basketball than I have pretty much the entire season combined, and I'm sure I'm not the only one that's in that boat. And so I figured we'd talk some Big 10 overall. Then we'd kind of limit it down, talk about both the Michigan team and the Michigan State team, and then kind of go into some general overall March Madness talk. And one of the things I'm probably most excited about is this is, kind of my first. Now, last year I did get into the sports betting realm, if you will. That was kind of my first real heavy go round of bets was during March Madness last year on DraftKings, and I will say I've been living off that $25 all year. Mm-hmm. Now my FanDuel account is the one that has most of my winnings in there, but I'm excited to see what FanDuel does. It seems to me either I'm paying more attention, or as this whole sports gambling thing kind of goes more mainstream, that there's the boosts. They've opened up their kind of their parlay rules, if you will. So going to be some big opportunities to make some big money, or some big losses. Mm-hmm. Some big losses, because like we talked about last week, man, with the parity that's going on in college basketball, there really, like we talked about last week, there really isn't a powerhouse number one team. No, we've also talked about too that, and I think it's apparent again this year that the Big 10 is the deepest conference in college basketball. So they're just going to beat the hell out of each other. And one of the cool things about living where we are is that sometimes the best basketball of the season is played during the Big 10 conference championship. So I'm super stoked for that to start. But just jumping off, let me fill your ear hole with a little stats here. I pulled up the Big 10 standings, and I think this is correct. Illinois is the number one seed right now. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Illinois, Wisconsin, Purdue, Iowa, Rutgers
will be pending what happens here in this game that's going on right now. Wisconsin was beat today.
Yeah. We're for those of you we're watching on FS1, Iowa at Illinois, and Iowa currently has a 10-point lead with 4 minutes to go in the first half. So yeah, I mean then Rutgers, Ohio State, Michigan State, Indiana, and so on and so forth. And I did put the link in the chat there, folks. I pulled up Andy Katz's bracket breakdown here, and I want to say it was from it was from March 1st. So this is
And Wisconsin has locked the Big 10. They already have won the Big 10. Mm-hmm. Illinois with a win tonight and Wisconsin losing today, they could be a Big 10 champion. But Wisconsin's with their win last week against Purdue, they locked it up that night.
So they're the number one seed going into the tournament, regardless of what happens.
Yes.
Okay. Good. But Andy Katz has 8 Big 10 teams going in. Wisconsin, Purdue, Illinois, Ohio State, Iowa, Michigan State, Michigan, and Indiana. And that if his predictions hold true, the Big 10 will be the most represented conference in the tournament. just ahead of the Big East with 7 schools. He's predicting Villanova, Providence, UConn, Seton Hall, Marquette, Creighton, and Xavier. Just to give you kind of round out some more of them here. The Big 12, he's got 6 teams: Kansas, Baylor, Texas Tech, Texas, Iowa State, and TCU. The ACC has Duke, Notre Dame, Wake Forest, Miami, and North Carolina. And speaking of North Carolina 2Ks, we watched a hell of a game last night. And we really can't have a basketball show without, which is kind of what we're gonna preview here. I was really expecting those Duke kids to do everything they could not to lose that game, and
yeah. I mean, I look at it a little bit of both sides of it though. There's so many distractions. You've got so many, when you start talking about Duke alum, the players that were all in attendance last night for that. We're talking about some of the greatest college basketball players of all
100%,
time.
100%.
And then even who they're playing against with North Carolina, probably the next best school as far as college basketball are players of all time. So to have all those distractions, going on, a tough situation I think for them Duke players to be ready to play. There's a lot of emotion that goes into that. And on the other side for North Carolina, like, what do you have to lose?
Absolutely nothing.
We can go in and we can ruin Coach K's last game in Cameron. Like, that is the.
Oh yeah.
I mean, so to me, I think North Carolina had a little bit of the advantage going into that, just because they have nothing to lose and Duke has all the distractions and quite frankly everything to lose.
Yeah. You are 100% right, and it does seem kind of fitting that. I mean, it was pubbed to be one of the biggest games of the year. I mean, obviously, Coach K, last game at Cameron Indoor, the pageantry around it was amazing. I kind of wish the game before that wouldn't have gone into overtime, so we could have, without switching to ESPN2, because we were out to dinner when I was watching it, and don't get me wrong, the game before was a great game. It was a great game, but it would have been nice to see all the pageantry live instead of on the highlights afterwards. But isn't that's like the most Duke North Carolina thing ever? We're heated rivals. There was a stat a couple years ago. I'm pretty sure it's not the same now, but just because Duke went into North Carolina earlier this year and won by like 20, so. Wasn't it like it was tied 50-50 in the last 100 games, and there was, I think the complete point spread was less than 10 or something crazy like that. So it is kind of the, I don't know, when you get a rivalry like that, I mean, that's got to be the biggest high in the world, is just going in there and just shitting all over Cameron Indoor and just walking out. And but if you look at it this way. And I mean, obviously, on top of that, it was senior night, so kind of a double bummer because no one wants to lose on senior night. But everything surrounding it was extremely awesome. ESPN did a hell of a job with it, and yeah, there was a bunch of Duke players that were there. I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I do remember him. He looks completely different. I think JJ Redick still looks exactly the same.
Does.
Like he could, which I during the college game day, they had him kind of give the little pep talk, if you will, or kind of the demonstration on how to hit a 3-point or a half court shot, and he missed badly. And during that, he was talking about how I can't remember what game it was, but he was shooting free throws for a charity, and believe it or not, he missed the free throw. And it's like, oh, JJ Redick never missed any shots, let alone a free throw. So yeah, and again, after listening to him on the Pat McAfee show, I kind of got a little bit more respect for the dude, because like we talked about last week, either you love Duke or you hate them, and especially a player like him, probably Grayson Allen is probably up there too, as some of the most hated Duke players of all. I think Christian Laettner takes the cake for any of them.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, they made a 30 for 30 on ESPN about and the name of it is I Hate Christian Laettner.
Yeah.
And it was cool to see Grant Hill again. Great. I mean, he still looks like he does like 15 years ago. And every time I see a picture of Grant Hill or a video, it's like, man, what if that dude wouldn't have got hurt?
Sure.
That Pistons team is a whole lot different.
Yep.
But I think overall the Pistons kind of recovered from it a lot quicker than some of the other some other teams would. So, but no, he was always that guy. Yes, he was a Duke guy, but I was pumped for him. I mean, he was a great player, and when he was healthy for the Pistons, was a great player. So, but anyway, let's get back to the Big Ten here. Let's get back to the Big Ten. So, out of all the teams that we've talked about here, 2Ks out of the Big Ten, which one do you think has the most potential to make a big run in the Big Dance?
Man, multiple. I think there's multiple teams, so that makes this hard. I like this Illinois team. They're not up to a great start right now, but it's hard to argue right now with the Big Ten that maybe the hottest team is Iowa. It kind of got off to a slow start this season, but man, when that offense is clicking the way that it has been here lately, they're very, very tough offense to stop. I mean, we saw earlier this week when Michigan played against them, and they put up points against Michigan with ease. Michigan State they played against them a couple weeks ago. They basically played them out of the building. So this Iowa team is hot, but I really like the way that Illinois, just kind of the way they're made up. I like the big man inside. They have a guard on the outside that is a transfer, and I'm trying to think of his name right now.
Isn't the big guy's name Cockburn?
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. And the guard I'm trying to think of, Plummer's the last name there, and he's a transfer, and he's probably the best shooter in the Big Ten. So there's a lot of things I like about Illinois, but Purdue also is another team that I really like. I think Purdue has
Purdue's so streaky.
Yeah, they have the best player in Ivy.
Yes,
I think he's the best player in the Big Ten. I think he's probably going to be a top 5 lottery pick when it comes to the draft. So I like that. Wisconsin, another great player with Johnny Davis on that team. I like them a lot. It wouldn't shock me for them to go on a run. So there's multiple teams really in the Big Ten that would not surprise me at all. I guess if I had to pick, I probably at this point would go Wisconsin, just because I think that right now they kind of have, they got beat today obviously, but that's the Big Ten for you. Yeah. You're going to take your losses here and there, and I think that they were coming off such a high when you go back to last Sunday with the Purdue game, and obviously that going down to the wire and a couple bank shots and some luck on their side. But Wisconsin plays great defense. They play great defense. They score the ball enough, and it just seems like out of all these teams in the Big Ten, they're the team that most consistently can just find ways to win. Yeah, and that's kind of my. That's what I'm so gun shy about it, of most every team in the Big Ten, and maybe it's, like we've talked about many times, it is hard to play on the road in the Big Ten. So should it scare me that we do see some kind of not as it's just complete inconsistency with some of these teams because playing on the road, or is it just the defense is so much better than some of the other conferences? I mean, but then again, the parity in the complete field is like that. And which we've given our fair share of Turbo and 2K's jinxes. So, I really like Purdue just because of Ivy and their big guy. I mean, you look at his progression from last year to this year is amazing. I mean, he's 7'4" or something silly like that, and just his level of athleticism that he's gained from last year to this year is unbelievable. He's a great shooter. He's great down on the block. But I think this is going to be one of those years where there's going to be just a hot shooter, just a hot talent, and Ivy checks all those boxes for me.
So, but then again, like I mentioned, they've lost they've lost a handful of games that they really shouldn't have.
Sure.
So, am I hitching my wagon to that?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
It's tough.
I don't know.
But and my thing is, you look all the way across college basketball. What teams haven't lost games that they shouldn't have? You know, we talked about it a lot last week on the show. There's so much parity in it now, and I really think, when you think of Purdue and Wisconsin, they're both great teams. They're both coming from the best conference in college basketball, and they're both at the top of that. Wisconsin is going to end, it won that, but they're led by 2 star players. You have Ivy, who is going to be a lottery draft pick, and Johnny Davis, he's going to be the Big Ten Player of the Year. I mean, he leads the team in every category, every statistic there is. He leads the Big Ten in points. I mean, you can't go. I mean, Ivy has the upside,
Right.
and he has the ability to where his game is going to translate to the pros, and it's going to translate fast.
Yeah.
And to where this Johnny Davis is just more of a college basketball player. He's a great fundamental basketball player, but will his game, transition to the NBA? We'll see. We'll see what happens there. But that's what I look for when it comes to tournament time, is not so much the great teams, but I truly believe when you get into these tournaments, you got to have a guy that you can count on to go get you 20.
Yeah.
And can show up and play his best games in the biggest spotlight of the entire season. And I think every championship team really needs that.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And there's some guys that are very big on. All right, I choose my bracket according to guard play.
Mm-hmm.
I choose my bracket according to shooters. I choose my brackets on a whole team aspect. Mm-hmm. And this year, I really don't think you could argue that one way's better.
Yeah.
I really don't. I really don't. Which there always is. There always is the perfect bracket challenge, which I enter every year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think who's ever funding that this year, your $1 million is safe.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is it. I mean, like last year going into the tournament, like there was 2 teams that were, kind of. I mean, really, I thought there was kind of 3 teams that were kind of beyond everybody else going into the tournament. I thought Michigan was maybe that 3rd team, and I thought Baylor and Gonzaga, who we ended up seeing in the finals, they were just kind of on a different level than everybody else. And it showed true, and we saw it. They face off in the championship game, and I thought that the way that tournament played out, it couldn't have won any better. We had the 2 best teams,
yes, and
they squared off in the championship, and we got to watch, see who was truly the best. I don't know who that is this year, because this Gonzaga team is not the same Gonzaga team from last year.
No.
And Baylor is not the same Baylor team from last year. And it's hard to do that. Like you go on a run and you win and just win basically every game that they played last year with ease. It's hard to just bounce back, and you're obviously, when you're that good, you're going to lose a lot.
Yeah.
And so to have those 2 teams even back, and they're probably both going to be 1 seeds going into this tournament.
I would imagine so, yeah.
It's impressive, but when I look at both of those teams, they're not the runaway favorites. I'm having a hard time finding that runaway favorite. There was times going in last weekend when we were talking and we watched 7 of the top 10 teams get beat, and one of the only teams in the top 10 that didn't get beat was Duke, and it was kind of like, man, maybe Duke is that team, and then they get beat by North Carolina in the biggest game. So it's hard to. It truly is. It's hard right now. Me personally, as a fan, I love it. The parity throughout the entire league, and going into this tournament, and not just 80% of these brackets going to have the same team, Gonzaga like last year, or like a lot of years where everybody just writes in Duke or Kansas. We don't have that this year. I mean, I think there's going to be what we're going to see with brackets this year is the same thing that we're seeing on the floor right now. The parity. There's going to be parity in everybody's brackets that they make too.
Yeah, and I did see that the Loyola of Chicago punched their ticket today. So always an exciting team to watch.
Man, it seems like they're scary in the tournament. They just they figure it out there. Obviously, they have a new coach now, but they seem to always just figure that out and are able to go on a hot streak. I don't know what the hell it is, but
hey,
it works.
Big time players show up in big time situations. Michigan got a big win today. I did not see that.
Yeah, Michigan got a big win today over Ohio State, which I think solidified them getting in.
Yeah.
I truly think that they needed to win today, and if they didn't win today, they were going to need to pick up a couple wins in the Big Ten tournament to have a chance. And still maybe wouldn't have seen that, but They picked up the win against Ohio State today without Hunter Dickinson. He did not play today, so to me that should solidify them into the tournament. And look, I mean, you know me, I'm pretty honest when it comes to, you know, yeah, I'm a homer and I love Michigan, but when I need to, you know, be truthful, I'm normally pretty truthful about it, and I don't, you know, I'm not the jumping on, you know, and just picking the homer team, but you cannot tell me that they're not a tournament team like this with some of the wins that they have, the schedule that they've went through,
being a huge one.
Yeah, win against Purdue, the win against Ohio State today without their best player, without one of the best player, a top 5 player in the Big Ten. Didn't have him, and they were still able to pull that off. They beat Iowa at Iowa this year. Obviously, the win against Michigan State was a good one that they just had. When they're clicking, when they're knocking down some shots, they're a scary team. That's been the problem all year, though, is they just consistently can't knock down shots. The point guard, though, that I've been, you know, have given a lot of shit to all year long. It seems like he has played his best games here in the last, you know, 5 games of the season. Talking about Jones there, if he can keep playing the way that he's playing, this team could win a couple games in the tournament. I don't think we were talking about a Final Four or Elite Eight team.
No.
But this is a team that if they can knock down some shots, just with the play of Hunter Dickinson being one of the best bigs in the game, and now Jones stepping up at point, and Houston coming around a little bit, this is a team that I would not shock me if they got to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, and I'm gonna beat this drum all week until Selection Sunday. I think it's hard to choose or hard to kind of predict how far any team's gonna go based on where they're at in the bracket. Like I said last week, I really don't think it matters 1 to 16. It's just who's in your part of the bracket, because with the lack of those big teams or good teams, there's always one loaded bracket, it seems like, and there's always one easier bracket. So that's what I'm most excited to see, is where do these teams kind of play out? Where do they land? Where do they settle? And hats off to you, because I wouldn't want to be the one that's not only seeding but actually putting together the bracket, because holy shit, that is, especially a year like this year, that's damn near impossible. That is damn near impossible. So big up on you, because and I know it's a committee, it's not just one person, but it's still that's with a year like this year, that's got to be one of the toughest things to do. It's one of the toughest things to do. Well, you made a very nice transition into our Michigan State talk. So, what's your take on Michigan State?
Man,
they turned the ball over way too much.
They turned the ball over a lot. They remind me a lot of Michigan at times. They'll go 5-6 trips in a row and can't get the ball in the basket. They just consistently can't knock down enough shots. And I mean, that's the biggest thing, is they turn the ball over way too much for a team that has struggles so much to put the ball in the basket and then to turn the ball over and not get shots. That's an issue. They play defense. They play great defense. They rebound the ball. They're a typical Tom Izzo team. But on the offensive side of the ball, they have a lot of issues. And I think this is a team that kind of, as the season has went along, they've gotten worse. They've gotten worse as the season go back to the middle of the year. I thought this was a team that would probably stick around in the top 20 kind of all season long.
I think most everybody did.
Yeah, and now, no, they don't deserve to be in the top 20. They're not a top 25 team right now. And then, as far as that Michigan State rivalry, we watched it last week with the game. When those two teams square off, anything can happen. To me, Michigan just dominated them from the very beginning. You go back to the earlier in the season when they played the first time, Michigan State dominated them. So it was just like kind of the tables were turned there. The only thing I didn't understand with that game, and it's been a week since that game was played. So, but watching that game, for people that talk like Tom Izzo is Mr. March and just this spectacular coach, like, how the fuck can you play for 40 minutes and have Hunter Dickinson put up 33 against you, and you're not going to bring a double team to him one time?
Yeah.
You're just going to let him go one-on-one with every... I mean, they tried everybody on their fucking bench. I think they were willing to pull anybody out of the crowd and try, but they were going to go put him on an island and try to guard him. And obviously, with 33 points later, it didn't work. I don't understand how an adjustment is not made there. You have to be able to see that one guy is just killing you. And then when they asked him about it after the game, his answer was, "Well, we didn't want to give up perimeter shots." What have I said all year long about this Michigan team? They can't knock down perimeter shots, and I'm going to allow if I get beat by Michigan on the perimeter and they knock down shots,
so be it.
Got to live with that.
Yeah,
but we can't live with Hunter Dickinson, who we know is their best player, getting 33 on us, and walk out of that game and say, well, I mean, we got beat by Hunter Dickinson. We never brought the double on him one time. We just let him beat.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can go to sleep at night losing that. So, for all you fucking people that think Tom Izzo is the Mr. March best fucking coach, and I'm not buying that shit.
January, February, Izzo,
and then turning it over to Michigan, man. Howard goes out in the Wisconsin game, and what Michigan has left is that was a huge loss, obviously. Now they needed to pick up 2-3 wins without their head coach and all the distractions that are going on, and they were going to have to play against Illinois, Iowa, Michigan State, Ohio State, Rutgers, and I think people were saying at the time they got to win 3 of those. Those are 3 very, very tough wins to pull out in that. Without your head coach, with all the distractions going on,
without your best player today,
must wins, and for them to go through those 5 teams and win 3 of those, they won a game over a good Rutgers team who's going to be in the tournament. They won. I mean, their 3 wins were against all teams that are going to be in the tournament, and their 2 losses are against teams that are going to be in the tournament. So,
well, here's a cool tweet for you, 2Ks. This is from Brendan Ruse at Brendan Ruse. With today's result, Michigan teams have now won their most recent matchups against Ohio State in football, men's basketball, women's basketball, ice hockey, baseball, and softball. So that OH is, judging from that, it's dead. It's dead.
Yeah.
Michigan, I mean, that's pretty much, and I have no idea how long or how frequently this happens. Let's put it that way. But that's pretty awesome. I mean, if you're a Michigan fan, especially against a rival like that, you got to hang your hat on that. You got to hang your hat on that. Because just judging by that result, there might have been a lot of the other ones that have happened, but the one that's obviously the big hang up as of late has been the football. So good on you. Good on you. It's a good time to be a Michigan fan. It's a bad time to be an Ohio State fan, obviously. but no, getting back to your comment about Izzo, it's like, all right, it seems like any Michigan State team can hang their hat on defense, rebounding, and ball security. Yeah. And the last couple of years, that ball security has not been there.
Look, I'm not saying that Izzo is not a good basketball coach. We all know he is.
Yeah.
But what I am saying is he is the most overrated coach in all of college sports. Most overrated coach in all of college sports. All these Michigan State hoopers come out of nowhere and are just like, this is Mr. March and this is when his time to shine. What the fuck has he done in March that I'm missing? That has happened from the time that I've been in high school, and I'm 30 years old now, because I haven't seen a whole lot. When I was in middle school and when I was in elementary, he was getting to some Final Fours and shit was good then. But I'm not seeing that anymore. So, to me, he's a good coach, absolutely. But he's the most overrated coach I've ever heard anybody. He gets credit almost like he can be compared with Coach K or with Roy Williams or with, I mean, I'll pull out coaches that are still coaching. Bill Self. I would take Bill Self over Izzo any freaking day of the week.
I was watching that Kansas. I think that was the game that was on, maybe the game before the Duke game. Regardless, it was on yesterday afternoon. Bill Self has more Big 12 titles than he has losses at home.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Think about that.
It's incredible.
And they had won like 27 or 24 straight senior games or senior day games. And stats like that blow my mind. Yeah. And it's not like this is a Bill Self coach team that's in like the same conference as Gonzaga. This is a Big 12.
Big 12, yeah.
There's some badass teams in the Big 12. And up until a couple years ago, wasn't it? He'd won like 24 straight Big Ten, won or had a share of the Big 12 title. And I think it was last year when Baylor took that over. But no, they locked up another one, or at least a share of it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean and the thing that gets me with Izzo, and I mean, yes, he has almost like a cult-like following, which is fine, But you're right. They haven't won since like 2008 or something like that. He's made some Elite Eights. He's made a couple Final Fours since then. But to get your face up on that Mount Rushmore, you need more than one title. And like Wooden has 11.
I mean,
Coach K has 7.
They're always so quick. Michigan State fans are always so quick to, kind of say they got the one up on Jim Harbaugh, and in recent years, they have. Yeah. I mean, they have. But this goes back to when John Beilein was in at Michigan. He got the best of Izzo in his time at Michigan, and took over the program when Michigan was in a world of hurt when he took over. They were bad. Yeah, they were bad, and Michigan State was at their best. Mm-hmm. And fast forward a couple years after that, and Beilein had the best of him. And it's transitioned now to in situations with Howard being there. Howard's gotten the best of him more than Izzo has, and has had better teams, and has went further in the tournament more consistently than Michigan State has in recent years. So, but it doesn't get talked about because we still are so stuck in the past with Izzo on what he did in the early 2000s.
It almost reminds me of Yankee fans.
Yeah.
They always talk about, and I know this is going to cut you deep, but Cowboys fans. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, you know what? If you want to see the Cowboys' most recent success, you need a VHS player. Mm-hmm. So, and I know it's not that drastic when it comes to Michigan State basketball, but it's kind of the same. Yeah. It's kind of the same. I mean, and to be honest with you, even though the Big Ten is the deepest and best conference in college basketball, when was the last time a Big Ten team won? It's been a while.
Boy.
I know I'm an awesome host. I probably
remember. I mean, most recent one I remember getting to the finals was Wisconsin, I believe. Mm-hmm. Michigan got to the finals right before them in the Louisville game. As far as winning one, no.
I don't know. Like I said, I probably should have researched that before I asked it. But no, it just hang in there. Last time a big team was.
But this is, I mean, I've been wanting to just go on my Izzo tear anyways. I mean, even you go back to when Juwan Howard fucked up in the handshaking line a couple weeks ago, and all these Michigan State fans. Really, the only people that were calling for him to lose his job were Michigan State fans. That was it. And if it would have been the other way around, where Izzo would have done something like that, even though Izzo couldn't reach that high, it would have probably been Michigan fans saying the same shit. So it's just kind of the.
So you're usually good for a Mike Izzo, a Mike Izzo rip, at least once a year.
Oh yeah, the guy pisses me off. I can't even look at him without getting pissed. Like,
it says here that the last time Michigan State, according to this website, Michigan State was the last team to win from the Big Ten to win the NCAA tournament.
What year was that?
April of 2000.
Yep. That was 9.
That was 20. Yep. Cut down the nets in Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Okay. I honestly thought that a sneaky Illinois team or
Illinois had some good years there where they were in it. They made it there. Final Four. Michigan made a couple Final Fours. Wisconsin has made a couple.
Mm-hmm. But man, that's crazy. Just to think, and now mind you too, we've also pointed this out that it seems like the Big Ten is officiated differently.
Oh, for sure, it is.
Any other conference.
Nobody can tell me any different. I've been watching a lot of college basketball. I watch a lot of college basketball every year, and I've been saying this for 5-6 years now that they do not call fouls in the Big Ten the way that they call fouls in all the other leagues that I watch basketball. And I'm talking ACC, Big 12, SEC. the other best conferences around, and they call fouls. When they call fouls when there's fouls.
Yeah.
Michigan or Big Ten, you see guys go down to the floor. I mean, and there's not even a whistle.
Right.
And there's collisions all over the place, and they don't even blow the whistle on it. And I think that affects these Big Ten teams when they get to the tournament, is because they're officiated so much different.
Yeah.
And you start seeing some of these schools get into foul trouble because they've been playing at a whole different level, physically, throughout the entire regular season. Then they get into this tournament,
and it's more,
and it all changes,
kind of ticky-tacky. And speaking of which, don't look now, but your Illinois team has fought back to 46-42 with about 17 and a half to go in the second half. So plenty of basketball left in Champaign, Illinois. That's my best Gus Johnson.
He was on it today, man. He was calling the Michigan Ohio State game.
He is my favorite announcer.
He's good. He's very good.
And hopefully, maybe with we've seen your buddy Troy sign that big deal to do Monday Night Football, and with Amazon coming along, and there's gonna be some shuffling. There's gonna be some kind of reseating, if you will, at the announcer's table. Hopefully we get to see and hear some more Gus Johnson. I mean, the NCAA tournament was so great because Gus Johnson was on the call for a lot of those games, and he could make watching paint dry interesting. Just his enthusiasm and just the way he gets behind shit. I absolutely love it. And the world would be a better place with more Gus Johnson. And where we're at today, hell, we need more Gus Johnson.
The only thing that just drives me nuts every year when it comes to the tournament is how they bring in all these NBA analysts and have them talking about college basketball. And like, I like these guys. It's not that I have anything against Barkley or any of those guys, but they have no business talking about college basketball. They haven't hardly even covered it or followed it throughout the whole year. They've been following everything in the NBA, and the NBA and college basketball it's so much different. And I think most of the time when Barkley's talking, he's talking about we got to get the ball to the post, Well, that's not really the way that college basketball is played anymore.
It's not the way the NBA.
There's very few teams. Michigan plays that way because they have Hunter Dickinson, but. Other than that, there's not a lot of teams. All teams are trying to spread the floor out and trying to open up lanes so that they can, get driving lanes to the basket, and then that leads to kickouts for open looks, and that's what they're trying. That's what they're trying to do. So when they, I want to see college basketball tournaments come around and have try to get the same, analysts that we've been listening to all year long, follow it into the tournament, and unfortunately, we don't ever get that, but.
Like I said, the world needs more Gus Johnson.
Yes.
The world needs more Gus Johnson.
There are some good where college basketball is good at, because unfortunately they're all on ESPN.
Yeah.
And I would like to see some of them get away from ESPN and get into where, I would love to see, Jay Billis speak during the tournament, but he's locked into ESPN and won't leave there. Or, even I wouldn't mind Jason Williams if he could leave there and get it, where we hear more of him, or Greenberg, but all those guys are all locked into ESPN, so unfortunately you got to flip it over to that shit channel just to hear him talk.
But the one that can stay over there is Bill Walton.
Oh, for sure. I every time that guy comes on the TV,
the
I
Conference
shut it off.
of Champions.
Or I watch a Pac-12 basketball game and I just mute it.
He ruins it.
Yeah, and Richard Jefferson's just as bad.
He kind of have to be.
I mean, they're off. Jefferson, I will say, is probably worse.
Well,
some of the shit that comes out of his mouth, and just like,
could you imagine being his color man for years? Well, he's the play-by-play. Walton's the color man, so I couldn't imagine working with the man for that long. Either it's one of those things where he would probably get under your skin so fast that you'd quit, or you just kind of embrace it and love it because he's a dumb idiot. And and there's a lot of people that that dislike Dickie V. I really like Dickie V, and it's been kind of a weird season not having him.
Sure.
And can he be too much? Yes, but that's one of the reasons I love him.
Yeah. The only issue I had with him, kind of back in kind of go back, rewind 10 years ago or so. He was so stuck on the ACC. It was all it was Duke and North Carolina, and he was so biased towards that to where that was kind of when I lost a lot of respect as far as wanting to listen to him. And at that time, the ACC was the powerhouse.
Yeah.
I mean, they were what the Big 10 is. Right now, the best two conferences in college basketball are probably the Big 10 and the SEC. Mm-hmm. And ACC is probably obviously behind those two. They're behind the Big 12. Mm-hmm. They really have lost it. But I get sick of those, the ones that want to just speak on Duke all the time, and you're watching the game and all they talk about, bring up all the Duke stories, the Coach K stories, and I don't want to listen to that shit all the time.
Oh, that's what you get with Jay Billis all the time, all the time. But no, I kind of equate Dickie V to like Lee Corso. Mm-hmm. They're staples, and they're icons. But with that, they're not getting any younger, which is unfortunate because, I mean, is Lee Corso as intuitive and as interesting to listen to as a lot of the guys on the set? No, but he brings an element that all of those guys don't have, which is experience. Same thing with Dickie V. He's been there forever. And both of them bring an energy that's very unique, both that are completely different from each other. But their personalities are very similar. So, Dickie V, if you're listening, big ups to you. Hope to hear you back really, really soon, brother. And speaking of Dickie V, that he wrote a letter to Coach K because his voice is gone right now. That stinks. Yeah, that stinks. Mm-hmm. K, I mean, getting back to your point, I mean, Dickie V is probably Coach K's biggest fan ever. So that had to be really hard. And Illinois takes the lead, 47-46. 47-46. It's not college basketball 2Ks if someone doesn't make a run.
Yeah, it was, that stat that just showed on the screen with Iowa won for the last 13.
Yeah, that'll.
The last few games that I've watched them play, especially the game they just had against Michigan, like they couldn't miss. I mean, they
started out 11-12.
I mean, they were knocking down every shot they had against Michigan, and they were contested shots. I mean, in a lot of those situations, there wasn't anything that Michigan could do better defensively. But good offense beats good defense every day of the week.
Or it should. You're 100% right. You're 100% right. So when it comes down to your first overall gut reaction, who do you have the most confidence in out of any team in the field? And I know we've talked about, it's harder to pick that, but I got to get you on record. Who are you hitching your wagon to, 2Ks?
That's tough. That's tough. I mean, when you watch 7 teams in the top 10 get beat last week, man,
I'm gonna take a wild card with a team that that we just talked about. I'm gonna go Kansas.
Yeah, I like Kansas. Because I like their coach. Well, in big situations,
and they've got some pretty good players on that team too. Pretty good players on that team. But I think even though they're coming off, they're the defending champions. Baylor's kind of a sleeper right now. They're kind of a sleeper. I really don't. Even though the Big East has 7, according to Andy Katz, has 7 teams going into the field. I'm not really confident in any of them. Villanova, Providence, UConn, Seton Hall, Marquette, Creighton, and Xavier. I don't know. Maybe I haven't watched enough Big East basketball, but I'm not hanging my hat on any of those. I would, getting back to the Big 10, very, very high on Wisconsin, Purdue. This Illinois team is I was back ahead, 51-47. But going down to the SEC, they've got projected 6 teams going in: Auburn, Kentucky, Tennessee, Arkansas, Alabama, and LSU. Auburn and Kentucky, those are going to be tough teams. Tennessee, if they stay hot, which they've been they've been it's from what I've seen, either an all or nothing team. And ACC, Duke, obviously. Even though I love my Irish, I'm really not high on them. So it really is anyone's field at this point. But I think if I had to put a futures bet in right now, I'd hammer Kansas.
Yeah.
Just in the early on.
And
I would sprinkle a little bit of Murray State, just because I love Murray State. But that's where I'm leaning. That's where I'm leaning.
I like Gonzaga. I still like Gonzaga. I like their bigs. I think their bigs are the best in the country. Speaking about Timmy and the freshman Holmgren, who I think is the better player now out of those two, better all-around player. But Gonzaga was so good last year because I thought their guard play was so good, and that's one thing that if you're gonna find, not to really say flaws, because they still do have good guards, but they don't have the guards that they had last year. So they scare me. And then when you talk about Gonzaga, who they've played, their schedule, what they've played, what they've seen, I think that comes
they've
out.
lost to some of those conference teams.
St. Mary's just last week.
They should just roll over.
And I think that hurts Gonzaga a lot when it does come tournament time. And I think it's hurt them over in a lot of recent years. Is they don't see these teams, and when you get to the end of the season and they have one loss or two losses on the entire season, it looks good. It looks good on paper.
Sure.
But I think some of these losses that these other teams get throughout the year makes them grow as a team, and I think they become a better team from taking a couple losses.
Yeah.
And it's not because they're not a good team; it's because they're playing against some of the best teams in college basketball on a weekly basis. So you're going to get beat some. So that's what always kind of scares me away from Gonzaga. I think when I look on paper who has the best team, I think on paper they still have the best team, but when it comes to just playing a schedule, I like Kansas. I like Bill Self there. I like the Auburn team.
I do too. It's just they're getting back to their guard play.
That struggle there too. I like the Auburn team. They got four guys that can average in double figures. So it seems like they score the ball well. They're very, very athletic. They can get out and run. Defensively, they're good.
Okay, well
but this is so hard. It's so hard to try to pinpoint on a team right now that you feel safe with, because these teams are getting knocked off every week, it seems like.
Well, FanDuel does have their future bets out. This was not there a couple days ago, but Gonzaga is the leader in the clubhouse at plus 370. Arizona plus 600. Kentucky plus 750. Obviously, Baylor isn't much of a dark horse considering what I just said, because they're 4th at plus 1,000. Duke at plus 1,200. Going down to Kansas plus 1,600. Well, 2Ks, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is.
Yeah, it's not a bad bet.
One un. There we go. Bam. Live betting on the podcast. Notre Dame is plus 15,000. Oh, okay. Hello, Murray State. We'll throw a little bit on you. Yep. Murray State, by the way, is plus 15,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And they have Michigan State's plus 18,000. And just cruising along here. Trying to find Michigan. I might have overlooked them. If you go all the way to the bottom, Toledo and Ionia plus 50,000.
Wow. I would not put any money on them.
No. There's Michigan State. Michigan's plus 15,000 along with Notre Dame. So there you go. Iowa's plus 9,000. This Alabama team, Alabama and Arkansas are very sneaky. Very sneaky. Getting back to your talking about the SEC. But yeah, that's your futures bet with Turbo and 2Ks. I threw one unit on Kansas and one on Murray State. So let's go. I love it. Are you sprinkling some over there, 2Ks? What you got going on?
Oh, I'm looking. I'm looking at, what some of these teams that could maybe, shock some people come tournament time. And
like you said, Murray State.
they don't have John Morant anymore, right?
Oh, he can't come back. He can't come back.
I know. I think I think he's done. I think he's done at Murray State now. But
That's all right. I still like him. It'd be cool if Ja came back. I have a feeling that wouldn't be plus 15,000 if they had John Morant on the team right now. I'm just throwing that out there. Just throwing that out there. Well, 2Ks, we're at that.
But like, who's going to be, this year's UCLA? Who's going to be that team that just shocks everybody and comes as a 10 seed or 11 seed? And
it could be UCLA again.
It absolutely could be.
It could be UCLA again.
They're starting to maybe possibly get healthy again.
And their point guard still has helmet hair, which is awesome. But no, you're right. And that's what makes March Madness so great. Is there's usually always one team or a couple teams that just shock the world, go in and just destroy shit.
Mm-hmm.
Just destroy shit. I mean, you look back at like teams like Florida Atlantic, and then we already talked about Loyola of Chicago. We had UCLA last year, so it could be it's going to be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be awesome. And yes, for those of you wondering, are we going to do the Turbo and 2K's bracket challenge? Absolutely. Once that gets posted, I will go into the group, facebook.com/group/2K crew, and we'll get y'all signed up. Get you the password into the tournament challenge on ESPN. And should we do the same 3 brackets for $10? I think 3's good.
I've always been that one bracket person.
Yeah, because you're weird. You
get one chance. You get one bracket. And if by the time the weekend rolls around, you've already got to throw that fucker in the trash, hey, that is what it is. But when you have 3 chances, it's like...
Well, it's like you have one of them that's a homer. One of them is that, all right, I actually took a lot of time. And then there's one where you can be like, I'm taking that flyer. I'm taking UCLA.
Yeah, and that's normally the one that ends up being your best.
Yeah.
It's the one where you just don't even think about it. You just start winging names and
yep.
basically just picking on what mascot you like better. And
Yeah. So, but, we've had some pretty good luck with, and you don't have to fill out 3 2Ks.
Mm.
You can only you can fill out 1 if you want to, but
I mean, if I have the option to fill out 3 for the same price, then obviously I'm gonna do it. But
might as well.
Yeah, I'm good with that. 3's good.
All right, yeah. Well, same thing. 3 brackets, $10 to get you in. So, and thank goodness for ESPN and their bracket challenge app now, so I don't have to do them by hand, which was that was horrible. However, I did do better when I actually filled them out by hand.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just easier to follow or what, but yeah, it's one of the best times of the year. 2Ks. We've got March Madness underway. Usually baseball's back, so once historically pitchers and catchers report usually the end of February, so that's kind of the signal to me. Okay, spring's about here, and then we go through March Madness, and then right about when that's about done, we've got the Masters, and then usually right after the Masters follows right around there is opening day.
Mm-hmm.
So super stoked. This is like we said, Manfred, get your head out of your ass, let's just play some baseball.
Yeah,
let's just play some baseball. Well, 2Ks, you got anything else we need to chat about?
No, just looking forward to this week. Right now, we've talked about it the whole show. There's really not any teams that just jump out to us and have just. But this is the week where maybe we can see that. Maybe we'll, you go through this tournament. This is where it's not necessarily the best team that wins the national championship. It's the team that gets hot at the right time, and maybe it'll. Right now Baylor kind of has that team that is looking really good down the stretch. Gonzaga too. Maybe here in this conference tournament, we're going to see a team that just goes off and it's like, man, they're playing their best basketball going into the tournament. That's the team I want to take to win it all. Maybe we'll see that. I don't know. But I am excited to watch this Big Ten tournament and see.
Me too.
I want to that game last week with Purdue and Wisconsin going down to the end, and Ivy hitting the 3 to tie it, and then a bank 3 on the other end to win the game. That was an awesome game. That's a game I want to see. I want to see those guys again, or the possibility of maybe a Juwan Howard and Michigan and Wisconsin, playing a rematch, playing against each other, early on in the tournament or something.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any bracket or just to see how it's going to play out, or if there's a chance that Michigan does, have the opportunity to play Wisconsin. Obviously, Wisconsin's going to be the 1 seed. Michigan's probably going to be 8 seed there, so. They won't. They're probably not going to play in the final, but they might have the opportunity to play early in the tournament.
Sure.
But that would be cool. That'd be cool to see that again too. And you got the cameras would be all over after the game to see 100%. That handshake for sure.
Well, the cameras would be everywhere. I mean, I have a feeling, and I'm sure the Big Ten Network covers the vast majority of that tournament. But I have a feeling some of the bigger games will be on ESPN or some of their affiliates there. But yeah, if that game does happen, I have a feeling Juwan will have a camera on him at all times.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up the bracket right now.
Yeah, they will.
They have. It's probably not anything official until the end of this game here.
Right. Which, by the way, it's 61-57 Iowa with a little over 9 minutes to go in the second half. It looks like, both teams are in the bonus.
Yeah, they got nothing listed for the Big Ten yet, so I'm guessing they won't have anything until this game's complete tonight. So,
is it the top 2 seeds in the Big Ten tournament get a bye?
I know the top 2. It might be the top 4.
Top 4
get a bye.
Yeah, I was just trying to do the bracket in my head. I just goes to show you it's been a long time since I put together a bracket, But no, I think it's good. I think this whole championship week's going to be amazing. I cannot wait. I think we're going to see quite possibly some of the best basketball of the year in these tournaments, regardless of what happens in March Madness. Just because these teams have seen each other quite frequently, normally throughout the regular season. So a lot of banging, a lot of I'm not going to say bad blood, but a lot of familiarity is going to be on tap for sure. Well, if there's nothing else, 2Ks, I say we get the hell out of here. Well, 2K crew will leave you here on this. Now, the upcoming podcast schedule might be a little dicey. 2Ks and I have got to iron some stuff out, but tomorrow we sign on the new house.
Hell yeah.
We sign on the new house. Thank you. And the internet situation over at the new house is not the best, which is why I'm saying that. So we might be coming to you from maybe your house, maybe somewhere else. So regardless, if we're doing it live on YouTube, we will, regardless where we're at, we will still record. We will still upload to the podcast. But hopefully we can continue to bring it to you live. Well, we'll get you out of here on this. Everyone have a great week. And as always, Jim Rome, we're coming for you.